This meeting of the Littleton Licensing Authority will come to order. City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Chairman Bradish.
Here.
Vice Chair Cole.
Here.
Authority Member Buchanan.
Here.
Authority Member Levere.
Here.
Authority Member Mather.
Here.
Authority Member Schock.
Here.
Authority Member Webb.
We do have a quorum. We'll proceed. Next item of business is approval of the agenda.
I'll move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item, certification, approval of the certification of the minutes from our last meeting on June 10th. I move to approve, based on the clerk's certification, the June 10th video as the minutes for the June 10th, 2005 regular session of the Littleton Licensing Authority.
I wasn't here last month, so I'll abstain from voting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Next item of business, renewal hearing on the application for Retro Wasteland LLC doing business as the Toad Tavern, 5302 South Federal Circle, Suite A. We have attachments A through K.
And I'd like to add L, which will be the public hearing roster, which I'll get to
Okay.
in just a minute.
I'll move that we admit exhibits A through L.
A second?
All in favor? Aye. Motion is carried.
Thank you, Chairman. This matter comes before the authority based on a decision made at the June 2015 meeting of the Licensing Authority that there was sufficient evidence and cause to bring this before the authority for a renewal hearing. The three main issues are unpaid taxes with a lien that has been filed by the Finance Department of the City of Littleton. Additionally, there's a failure to file a complete and timely renewal application, as well as an affirmative response to question number 3 on the application regarding conviction of a crime, but there was no detailed explanation provided. And I did want to give you an update. Since the packet came out last week, we had notified you that at that time the licensee had paid $4,000 towards their lien amount. Since that time, we have received another check for $1,000. So they have
Now, this is in addition to the other $4,000.
Yeah, so they have paid a total of $5,000 at this point.
Well, there's a $4,000 payment mentioned.
Yes, and then there's an additional $1,000 that came in after we sent the
So
packet.
it's a total of $5,000?
Yes.
Out of $16,000.
Right now, their balance, as of today, is $12,426.84. Additionally, their May tax report, which was due on June 20th, has not been filed at this time. Thank you.
The city attorney, do you have
I don't have anything to add at this point, but I'm here to answer any questions.
Is the Toad Tavern represented by counsel? Okay, step forward. Would you state your name, please?
Sure. I'm Leah Dillon. I'm one of the co-owners of the Toad Tavern.
I need to swear you in.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this authority is truthful?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're listening.
Okay. So I just wanted to kind of hit each of the points that are listed here really quickly. For the unpaid taxes, yes, I just mailed that check in for the additional $1,000, which has been received, along with an amendment for, I believe it was March's filing. I put it in for the total amount, not the taxable amount, so it recalculated incorrectly. So there's an amendment that I mailed in. I don't know if it's been received or documented yet. So the amount of $12,000 is not actually correct. It's a lot lower than that. So definitely need to work on that with you guys and figure that out. As for the failure to mail in the application, I waited till March because I thought I had to wait till it was due. Somehow I missed the mailing that said the renewal had to be done in December or January when it was actually sent to me, which is why it was late. Additionally, it was late because of that last bullet point where my partner was convicted of a crime. So I didn't have the details to give because I haven't spoken to him since that occurred in November. So what I sent in with the application is all the information I had, which I pulled from CBI.
Do you have any more information at this time
As to,
as to the crime?
no, I don't. Other than what CBI has reported, there is a restraining order in place, so he hasn't been in the business since November 12th. So I've been running the business solely. He's agreed to be a silent partner, so he's not involved in the day-to-day activities of the bar
But he is still an owner?
currently, but I'm working on that with the lawyer right now to remove him from the LLC, which takes about 2 years.
So the crime was the crime against you?
Yes.
Okay. There wasn't another one?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Well, at this point, there isn't a conviction, actually a conviction, is there?
As far as CBI shows me, yeah, there's a conviction for something. It's just what was listed on there. I think it's harassment is what he was charged or actually pled guilty to. But I wasn't there at the court proceedings, and I don't have the privy to that information.
The word convicted is a key in this. The wording of the ordinance says convicted. That's why I'm trying to determine
Right?
if there was.
I just know that he pled guilty to something.
Okay. You have some other folks with you, or you?
Well, I just have my bar manager and then my boyfriend, who's also a patron of the bar.
If you'd like to have them come forward and speak, you can do that. Good evening.
Good evening.
What's your name, sir?
My name's Tim Ferry.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this authority is truthful?
I do.
Thank you. You can either speak or Ms. Dillon could question you, however you folks want to handle this.
Well, you can question me. I mean, the only thing I have to say is, as far as Garrett Stewart and the crime that was committed, I was there when he was arrested for, basically it was a harassment thing.
Right.
And I haven't seen him since. He doesn't come to the bar. He has nothing to do with the day-to-day operations of the bar. I have no dealings with him. It's a non-issue in our day-to-day operations. So if there's anything else I can answer for you, I'm happy to do it.
Does he get any money from the bar? Is he paid?
No.
He actually owes me.
Yeah, it's a deficit situation.
You have access to the bar anymore?
No.
And he doesn't have access to any of the accounts, to the bar itself. All the locks have been
Can you
changed.
step up to the microphone so we are sure we
Oh,
get
yeah.
you on the record? Thanks.
Yeah, so he doesn't have any access to the bar whatsoever. All the accounts have been changed, all the locks have been changed, all the security codes, anything that would require entry into the bar has been changed.
And if he should show up to the bar, what happens?
Because of the restraining order, I'm assuming he'd be arrested.
And just with regards to the bank accounts, he's been removed from those?
Yes.
So you redid your corporate LLC papers?
I'm working with
To
a lawyer
remove
right now
him?
to remove him, yes.
Okay. But as of right now, he's still your partner?
Correct.
What percentage is his?
We're a 50/50 LLC right now.
Does that mean you'll have to buy him out, or?
Yeah, it's actually gonna, what we're hoping is a buyout in lieu of him paying me back what he owes into the business. So if I release him of that debt, he'll remove himself from the LLC.
Have anything else, sir?
No, unless you have a question for me.
How's your pay been? Have it been paid regularly?
Yeah, I get paid regularly.
Any other questions for this gentleman? Thank you, sir. I have a question for you. Is the business profitable?
Right now, we're kind of breaking even.
You're at breaking
Yeah,
even.
so I'm not making a profit on the bar right now, no.
Have you, can you say again what you said at the opening? Have you filed your taxes for the previous fiscal year?
Yes,
You have?
yes.
Okay, so at the time, just to clear up, what I'm reading in the staff communication, they hadn't, but you're saying you've since filed it, is that?
They have filed the returns. The issue was not filing of the returns. The issue was payment of the taxes due on those returns.
Okay, sorry, I thought it was both. I thought it was both
Right.
non-filing and,
No, and the only one they haven't filed currently is the May 2015, and that was due on June 20th.
And I believe that I filed it unless I just didn't submit it correctly, but I can resubmit it.
As of today, there's no record of it.
Okay.
so this is city sales tax to be filed once a month. Is that right?
The delinquency goes back to August of 2014, is that correct?
That is correct.
So I'm guessing part of the reason my colleagues are asking about profitability is I would certainly be interested if we were to approve a license on some sort of payment plan. Do you have thoughts on a plan that you could commit to?
Yes. My house is actually under contract right now. I'm selling my home. The profit from that will go to pay off not only the city of Littleton, but also other debts that I have outstanding. So I got behind primarily with the city and the state on sales tax. I've paid back the state as of today, 100%, and now I'm working on Littleton. I close on the sale of my house on July 31st. So by August 2nd, I would assume that I'll be able to pay all the debts.
You'll have enough cash from the house to pay all of this debt?
Yes, luckily,
Make yourself
the
current?
market is nice, and I've owned my house for about 20 years, so I'm able to make some profit on the house.
So that's your whole plan? To
Well,
get to-
well, that's part of my plan, yes, along with removing him from the LLC. Having some additional capital will also help me rebuild business in the bar, do some improvements and things that I need to do.
I got a couple of kind of transactional questions. Sorry, if you could bear with me. One is, as far as the ownership, is there anything in statute about silent or not? I mean, does that have an impact on our decision? And is there any sort of, like, restrictions or agreement that?
As long as he is on the license, he is as liable as Ms. Dillon is. He can be removed from the license, it's a paperwork issue. Him being a part of the LLC doesn't really have anything to do with the license. I mean, the LLC owns the license, but he could be removed from the license.
So I guess that's part of my question is, so as you submitted the application, he would still be a licensee, the two of you together? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Currently, yes,
As
because
long as
it was
he
a
owns-
renewal of the existing license.
If, let's say, she hadn't put him on the licensee and or as the licensee, we could still consider his history because he's a partial owner, is that correct? I mean, whether or not someone has day-to-day management, I guess where I'm getting a little confused is the difference between, someone who's a shareholder in a corporate entity and then the licensee. Like, if she takes him off as a named licensee, does that no longer become our business to know who else is involved, or is there still some connection?
My assumption would be if she removed him from the license, she would become sole owner of the bar. And she might at some point add somebody else, and at that point, they would go through the background process.
I guess I want to jump in. I think I disagree. So the licensee is the LLC, and it sounds like there are two members in the LLC that each hold 50% and 50%. So she does need to change the structure of the LLC to be the sole owner, and until then, the application would ask for anyone who has an interest of like over more than 5%?
10%.
More than 10% to be included on the application, and we would run background checks.
Right, so it's the ownership, it's not
Yeah,
whose name
yes,
appears on the application.
I'm not understanding, though, the 2 years, and I don't know, I'm certainly not her attorney, but it wouldn't be my experience that it would take that long to change membership in an LLC. Again, that is a paperwork issue. Now, there may be other complications, in there, but a straightforward transaction, it is, done with the
Is
management.
there, without saying something that would put you in a bad position in whatever negotiations you're probably engaged in, is there a reason that it would take that long?
The attorney that I'm working with says that in situations like this where it's not where a company decides to dissolve itself and restructure on its own, when somebody has to be pushed out of the business, it can take it a lot longer because it goes through a civil court, it's not criminal, and basically they can fight it as long as they want.
So is there any sort of restriction we could put on the obtaining of the license that would have an impact or, speed up the process? I mean, why I'm asking is because if one of the main issues about granting the applicant a license is about a person who, would otherwise cause the application problems, if the desire is to have that person removed from the situation, is there any impact we can have, or would it just be?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that there are other ways that this could be handled, is that she could get a new license and go through that process that doesn't involve the other partner. I don't see that you would want to put some sort of condition about what the management structure or the ownership structure of the LLC should be. But I will say that as the licensee, she has a duty to provide you with a detailed explanation as to the conviction of a crime of a 50% owner. And the fact that she can't get information from her partner, that's unfortunate, and that is a business issue, but it's impacting your ability to be able to evaluate whether the renewal should be granted. So I do think you can put conditions on, like, we need a satisfactory explanation about why you checked yes to question number 3. And we need information about how you're going to work through these business challenges for the next 2 years to ensure that you're running an establishment and you're being responsible with your license. So that would be where I would suggest the authority direct questions.
Is Mr. Stewart fighting the change in the LLC?
Right now, yes.
Okay, so he's contesting it.
Is there an out with you lease the property or you own the property?
Release it.
Is there an out with working with your landlord that would restructure the lease to a new LLC and you can abandon the old LLC? Or
Yeah, so I can just dissolve the LLC and then redo everything basically, but then in the meantime, I wouldn't have a liquor license to operate under. So that process takes a little bit to do the liquor license from scratch.
How long is that process?
If we're assuming that they're starting from scratch, that we let this one lapse, basically, because if it's approved, then there would have to be a transfer of license, which is the process you went through initially. So if there were no license to transfer, a new license process can take anywhere from 2 to 4 months from start to finish. So that's a long time to operate without a license.
That
So-
severely hinder your ability to keep it open?
So you either operate under the existing LLC with him as your partner, or you probably can't proceed. I know you don't have 2 to 4 months to go through a relicensing, and I wouldn't expect you to. Is there anything in your agreement with your LLC to share profits or money with him?
Yeah, the breakdown is, so there's the payback of loans to the business, so anything that we brought into the business to loans, any money that we brought in, those go to payback first, then anything to our creditors, then after that, the payback to me because I put 100% of the money into the business. So he owes me that money back first before any profits are distributed after that.
Okay.
And she wouldn't be able to transfer the license from her joint LLC to her new LLC without his signature, I would assume.
That's correct.
So you're not getting paid back any of the money that you initially put up front,
Correct.
and you're selling your house,
Correct.
so you can pay off the debt that you have.
Yes, so that I can keep my business and keep my people employed.
But he's paying 50% of the debt too, right?
Right now, he's paying nothing,
Yeah. Do you expect him to pay any of the debt?
which is why I'm trying to get him out of the LLC right now.
And then, when was she first notified that she needed to renew her license?
The city sends out letters strictly as a courtesy. It's not part of statute. We're not required to do it. I believe hers went out in December, but the state sends out renewal applications anywhere from 60 to 90 days prior. And on the application is not only the expiration date, but a due date, and that due date is generally 45 days prior to the expiration of the license.
Okay.
And part of that was truly my fault. It was my first year in business, and I didn't realize how that process worked. I thought I had to wait until the license was about ready to expire. So the lateness was truly my fault.
So you worked quite a while without a liquor license, is that correct?
I think it was, I mailed it in end of April, early May.
Is the answer to question 3 about the conviction of a crime, is that an exhibit, what she submitted? Or do we have a copy of the CBI report?
It's the actual application, which was Exhibit
Yeah, we have a copy.
A.
But you said you have a CBI report. Have you provided that to
Yes.
the city?
Yes, I sent it in with the application.
Yeah, we would definitely want to see that.
Do we have a copy of that?
Ms. Dillon, what was your experience with restaurants and taverns prior to buying the Toad?
Prior to that, I was a bartender for several years, worked in restaurants and bars, and then worked in management in other companies. So not directly in the management of a bar, but I have worked in restaurants and bars.
What was the agreement between you and Mr. Stewart, I think was his name, as far as responsibilities of running the bar? Was it based on your previous experience or his?
Yes, a little bit of both. So with the areas of expertise that we had, we kind of split the duties of the bar in those areas. So bar staffing, bartending, inventory controls was my area, kitchen, door security, and the music side was his.
So you, in effect, you now have 2 jobs instead of 1.
Correct.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
How have you been doing at it?
It's been busy, but I do have the help of some great staff. I've hired a couple extra people to help in certain areas where my expertise is not the best. So some booking help. Tim has taken over a lot of the bar management duties for me. So there's a lot of things that I'm not doing on a day-to-day basis, but I'm overall managing it.
When do you anticipate exceeding break even? What
I'm
month?
hoping by September.
By September.
Summertime is just traditionally a slower time in the bar business anyway. So I know it'll start to tick back up in about September. Just naturally the nature of the business.
Thank you.
You might have answered this, but do you have another job too?
I do not.
You do?
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Last year.
Is Mr. Stewart undergoing any kind of
Guilty.
treatment, rehabilitation?
I don't know.
Mandatory
That's a conviction,
classes?
right?
I don't know.
It says guilty, right?
The stipulations of the restraining order require that the only communication I have is regarding the business, so I have no idea.
Does the authority have any recourse to inquire of him? What's going on?
The licensee is here. Ms. Dillon is here representing the licensee.
Okay.
You can ask her, I mean, she needs to provide that information. And
Okay.
it sounds like the restraining order allows them to communicate regarding the business, so.
Should we enter this as an exhibit? Would that be? Or should we note it as part of the application?
It's part of the
It's part of the-
application. We
okay.
didn't include it because it's a CBI report, which there are restrictions on
Okay.
publication of that. I will note that as was noted in the staff report, it's an arrest record, it doesn't show a conviction. And so that's the information we need because the question relates to convictions, arrests. You can be arrested for all sorts of things, and if they don't result in a conviction, it's
What is on the bottom of there where it says court disposition, it says guilty?
That sounds like a conviction.
the pled guilty. I don't know. I mean, so I'm asking the licensee to explain
So
what
we
that
don't know what
means.
he's convicted of? You don't
I just know what he
know?
pled guilty to
And what was that?
the harassment charge on the CBI report.
Harassment, harassing you. That's what
Correct.
he pled guilty to.
Yes.
And was it that one incident that we have a report on? Is
Yes,
that
on
what he's
November
referring
12th.
to? You know, Mr. Ferry is about ready to jump out of his chair, so can we help you?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm probably most responsible for him being arrested in the first place. Because I'm responsible for him being arrested. Because he was out of line and drunk and belligerent, and I did what I thought was the right thing to do. So, as I said, I have not seen or spoken to him since that day. He's pretty much disassociated himself from our day-to-day affairs, and we're moving forward. It's, to me, it's kind of a non-issue. He's a non-issue to me. I don't deal with him. I don't see him. He's not even part of our day-to-day affairs anymore.
You hold it? Could you
No,
hold on
go
just a minute?
ahead.
Before I
No, go ahead.
ask questions, the key is whether or not he's been convicted, right? I mean, so we could certainly ask those who were present at the time that the incident happened, but if the disposition of the case is not concluded, then those facts would be,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can make an assumption that based on that arrest record and a guilty plea that he was convicted of harassment. I don't know that. The duty's not on me to find that out. The
Sure.
duty is on.
I guess what I'm saying is if I were to start down the line of questioning, saying what happened that night, could we use that information, or would that information only take us so far as whether or not there was a conviction?
Yeah, I don't think so. And I think it should be that
Sure.
she answered yes, she needs to explain what the conviction is. I mean, so,
Sure.
Well, the regulation says we can consider crimes of moral turpitude, and they gave some examples. Murder, burglary, robbery, arson, kidnapping, sexual assault, illegal drugs, and narcotics convictions.
None of those happen.
No, I know, and I'm not sure that harassment would fit the level of any of these other crimes. That's what I'm getting at.
It is listed
I'm
as
not minimizing the crime, but
I'm not minimizing the crime either. If I was minimizing it, I wouldn't have called the police in the first place. Mostly I was looking out for her. That's my job. That's what I do.
well, and you did your job, and that's good. I'm just trying to get an idea in my mind if this is actually a crime of moral turpitude or not, and based on the examples,
if
It's
it's
not.
harassment, it's not. but we don't know. And so that's all I wanted was that for the licensee to explain and confirm what that is, so that we know. And it's frustrating because it's your license, and so we just need information to be able to process the application.
The night in question, which is the result of this conviction, both of you were present, was the phone call placed to law enforcement that evening because of any physical touching, physical assault?
Mostly, I called because he was drunk, he was belligerent. I did everything I could to put this guy in a cab and begged him to go home, and he refused. And you get to a certain point where you have to do the right thing, and I did the right thing.
You also did what the law requires you to do.
Well, that's my job. You know, because in all intents and purposes, he was my boss at the time. It was the last thing in the world I wanted to do, but so was she. And I did that to protect her because there was no reasoning with this guy anymore. But as I've said, it hasn't been an issue since that day. I have not seen this guy since that day. I haven't spoken to him since that day. He doesn't come there. He doesn't cause us any grief. I don't even know where he is, and I don't much care. What I care about is her and making sure that we can move forward from here.
So if we were to receive information from the licensee that there was a conviction of harassment, which would not rise to the crime that's laid out in the statute, then that would not be a reason to deny the application. Is that correct?
Correct.
So for the benefit of my fellow authority members, I see two distinct issues. One is taxes, and if we were to move forward, I would obviously want a commitment by a date certain. The other is the issue of ownership. You know, from what we have here, it sounds like it's not a crime that would keep, but there's a lot kind of unknown, and I'm always hesitant to drag something on, but I'm wondering, would it be possible to continue the hearing and find out if the licensee can come back with information to fill in the gaps?
On the conviction?
Yeah.
Yeah, or you could just make it, I mean, as you can see in the draft motion,
could say,
there were some
make it
conditions.
contingent
So
that
just
they
make it
provide
condition
information.
that they provide a letter of explanation from Mr. Stewart, just confirming what the conviction was and the.
Do you have any reason to believe that Mr. Stewart would provide you a letter saying what the conviction was? Could your attorney?
Well, I believe that my attorney can make sure that that happens, as well as, I think his desire is that the business do not go under, which is why he's fighting so hard to stay part of the business. So I don't know that he would not provide that information, but I don't know until we ask.
Or if your attorney can even just do the research, and if your attorney can provide just some confirmation that it was the harassment charge and he pled guilty and that's what he was convicted
Yeah,
of,
and
that
I'm
would be
sure he can
fine
get that information
too.
through
And
public
then
records.
it can go through your attorney. That would, yes, just something so we can have that information for the renewal, and if that's satisfactory to the authority.
Now, he is or he is not still getting money from?
He's not getting any money
Okay.
from the business.
Because he said it would be, it would be in his best interest not to fight it, something like that. Why? Why is it in his interest not to, okay, now I'm confused myself. Okay, we were talking about, talk amongst yourselves. Why would he not contest the LLC? He isn't, he is contesting it, correct?
He's contesting me removing him from the LLC.
And why does he want to stay on if he's not getting any of the profits?
Because I think in his mind, he feels that this business can't exist without him.
It can't exist.
Yeah.
So does he think he's going to make money in the future?
I don't know, that's speculating on what he's
Right.
thinking. I have no idea what he's thinking. I just know that,
But that's what every business owner goes into business because they expect to make money down the line. of course you want to improve it, you want to make it better, and the profits come after time. And I'm sure that's why he wants to remain part of it, because he thinks it's going to eventually, and I think it is, and she thinks it is, and everybody that comes in there believes that it's going to start making money. That's why you're in business in the first place.
I'm just,
Don't go into business hoping to break even. Nobody does.
I'm wondering if he can make it difficult for you to continue a successful business if he, contests
I don't
being
believe
on
that
the
he can.
LLC.
Anywhere where he had any part of the business, he has literally been removed from it. All my vendors, all my creditors know that he is no longer involved in the business and that he doesn't make any decisions on the business, that it comes to me.
Thanks for your patience. I have another transactional question. So if we were to put conditions, so a date by which the taxes need to be paid and some sort of condition about a satisfactory explanation to the question 3, until those things happen, is the license still pending?
So,
And part of why I'm asking is,
No,
is
it's
there
approved conditionally.
approved conditionally? Because I guess what I'm asking is, if I were to make a motion, I would want to see some sort of additional explanation with regard to question 3. And it seems like there's a lot of things that could look like. And so I wonder if we would have any ability to review and approve that it's been, for example, if someone just, wrote a letter saying he was convicted, that's one thing. If someone, got court records proving it, that's another. And so I'm wondering if I were to make a motion, how we would do that in a way that, preserve the integrity of the process so that we're not, I guess, leaving it, on someone else's shoulders. Does that make sense?
I guess my suggestion is that you go ahead and put in those 2 conditions with the explanation on the conviction. One suggestion would be that it's just satisfactory to the city attorney. And if I have concerns or it's not satisfactory, then I will bring it back to you for a decision at that point.
Okay.
And with the other conditions, if, for example, they don't pay the taxes, then we would bring them forward for a show cause to see if you wanted to revoke the license.
Okay.
So-
So 2 separate, okay.
So if you're comfortable with that, I'm happy to review it. If it's from the attorney, I can always talk to the attorney and say, I think we're going to need some more information, or.
Okay.
Let me see if I can't take another stab at this. We have an applicant for renewal who checked a box on the application that said, yes, conviction. And she did that with knowledge of what's here on this paper, and that's why she checked yes. And what's on this paper states, crimes against the person, harassment, misdemeanor, 11/13/2014, court disposition, guilty, sentence 360 days jail, 10 days credit for time served, 350 days suspended.
Actually, I think there's actually 2 harassment charges there, the November one, and then below that is the March one that we have the record for, and that's the one that has the guilty disposition. It's just above where you're looking at the disposition guilty. There's actually 2.
Which is why I would certainly be inclined to ask for some satisfactory level of explanation. And I guess my thought is, I certainly understand the, imposition isn't the right word because, a license is a privilege, but I certainly understand, I don't want to send a licensee on a wild goose chase, but I do think that, part of the application process is to have an explanation. So if it's simply a letter from her attorney who spoke to Mr. Stewart or Mr. Stewart's attorney and could say, here are the things on that and here's what they mean, I think that would be satisfactory. And
Sure. And just to clarify real quick, Michael, this March 10th, that's the date this report was generated. There is only the one harassment for November. There's some other stuff here that's concerning about DUI back in September or July. That would be interesting to know what happened with that. But that's only a arrest report. That has no court disposition at all.
Yep.
so I certainly don't want to cut off if you all have any other questions, but I would be inclined to make a motion that would ask for, I'm not going to make it yet,
Okay.
I was just going to
All
say, that would ask for, taxes to be paid by a date certain, and I'd be interested to hear what the authority members feel like is a reasonable amount of time, and then some documented explanation. And I'm fine with what Kristen suggested, that, to the city attorneys, that she finds it acceptable, and she could always bring it back to us if there was any question. Because, I certainly want to see the licensee be able to continue to operate, but I think these are important issues that we need to make sure we resolve. And I don't think that we would, be doing our jobs if we didn't make sure that we worked through them properly. So, I
was just going to say, I agree with that, but my concern is more the financial concern as to whether you'll be able to fulfill your financial obligations to the city. You've also got a landlord, you've got vendors. Are you current with everybody?
I'm current with almost everybody.
You
So,
current with the landlord?
yeah, I'm almost current with her. So I've got $2,000 that I owe to the landlord for this month, and then the city taxes for Littleton. Everybody else is current.
So if we were to do a conditional approval, like Member Cole is talking about, we would want to establish a date certain as to when you would be current
Correct.
with the sales taxes. What would you request of us to be that date?
I would request, if I could, August 15th, just in case the closing date on my house moves by a week or two. Right now, it's set for July 31st, and it looks like there won't be any issues. But until I get closer to the date, I can't confirm that. But I know it won't go past about August 5th.
that's
I mean, could we go that far?
I was
I
going to
don't know.
say, August, that's a pretty.
Yeah, if we could go to
I would be
September
impressed with
1st,
that
I
degree
would
of
be, I would be
certainty.
more than happy to do that, and then pay it, if I get the money on July 31st, and be able to pay it before that due date.
And your earlier explanation, you're saying that the current balance is $12,000 that could be adjusted down.
Yeah, it should be adjusted down.
If it weren't, would you still feel
Yes, I
confident
would
in the
still be
ability
able
to
to do
pay
it,
it?
yes.
Okay.
So your house is under contract,
Correct.
and when is the scheduled closing date?
July 31st.
July 31st? Okay.
And you're aware that if we set it for, say, September 1st, and you didn't pay it,
Yes.
you would be back here in front of us
Correct.
on a show cause to revoke the license?
Yes.
You're aware of that? Okay.
I'm
There are
having,
things that can go wrong with the sale of your house, that's why I'm
Right.
getting at that.
Yeah.
There are processes you
Chairman's
have
a
to go
realtor,
through.
so-
I guess I would ask the authority, if we're talking about between August 15th and September 1st, that you back it back a few days so that I could, if she doesn't make the payment, I can bring it in the September meeting. And so
We would need 10 days in order to post the premises again, if for any reason she didn't make that meeting. If we set it for September 1st and she doesn't make it, then she's not coming back here until October. So if we can back it just a couple of days,
August
so that we
25th,
would have
27th.
at least 10 days
When's the September
for
hearing?
notification.
When's the September meeting?
9th.
Yeah, September 9th.
For the 30th, August 30th.
That's a Sunday.
Oh, I don't have a calendar here.
I'm happy with August 25th,
Okay.
if that sounds reasonable, right? Which is a Tuesday.
That's
so
really,
you'll
that
have
seems
Monday
really
and
soon to
Tuesday.
me, but,
Yeah, I think that sounds optimistic.
Yeah,
I
That's just a suggestion, it's obvious.
no, I hear you. I appreciate the context. I'm just worried that you might be setting yourself up and we might be setting you up for failure. I mean, I think it's really important that you're current on your taxes in order to operate a liquor license, but I guess my thought to the authority is, one more month. I would almost rather give another month and give her some leeway. Again, things go wrong with the sale of houses. I would rather almost give her another month because, a show cause hearing is going to be, an undesirable result as well. So I would almost say go to, middle or latter part of September.
that would put on the
I have to
October.
agree, I don't see a problem with October.
Yeah.
Authority Member Schock, can you pull your microphone down, please?
Yes.
So I would be inclined to probably be later on in September if I was going to make a motion.
When are you set to close?
July 31st, the last Friday of the
31st?
month, yeah. It's a Friday, so I wouldn't be able to get, even if we do close that day, the money wouldn't be available until at least that first week of August.
And you've gone through your inspection,
Yes, that's already done,
your appraisal?
done.
I'm good with August 25th then.
I mean, yeah, as long as there's no problem with it. You know, if the sale doesn't go through, then she's back on market and.
And we don't know if the city's going to agree with her request to amend the prior taxes. That's actually more of my concern is on the city, and it might take a little longer to work everything out.
Do you know how long
Is
that
it-
process takes?
The notice, is it 10 calendar days or 10 business days?
10 calendar days.
So if we did September 25th, would that work?
Yes, by my count.
I don't see why it wouldn't. And let me see if I understand this, the impact of this motion. So we're saying we approve the renewal subject to the following conditions, blah, 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 blah. If those conditions are not met, does that mean the license is automatically revoked? Or does it mean we start all over again with the hearings?
I would bring them back for a show cause hearing.
Yeah, I think what we're
Because they would
looking
have
at,
failed to meet one of the conditions. But I don't have the authority to revoke it, so I'd bring it before you to do that.
so do you think that's a conditional approval, or do you think we should just straight out approve it for the coming year, with the understanding that we'll bring them in for a show cause if taxes aren't secured?
No, my suggestion is to go with the second motion where it's an approval subject to the condition that they pay their taxes and they remain current on taxes.
Okay. And is there a statutory time limit we can do that? I mean, I know there's a limit for how long we can suspend a license. Is there any statutory limitations on how long we can temporarily, conditionally approve a license past the time it was supposed to be renewed?
It would be approved, the license would be approved. There would just be a condition that if they violated it, that's a violation of one of the terms of their license, and that's what I would bring it back for a show cause hearing.
Okay.
So it's not like a liquor violation, it's an agreement with the city that hasn't been met, which means the burden on us is much easier at that time to revoke the license.
It is a violation, because this is a
Right.
term of their license now, and that,
And I would see that as, on my judgment, to be an automatic decision.
would be up to the authority, yes.
All right, I'm going to make a motion, and then we can obviously discuss.
Before you do that,
Oh, yeah.
I think there are two other people signed
Oh,
up on
yeah.
the roster. I don't know if they wanted to
Well,
testify.
only one of the two wishes to speak. Is Austin Rabinoff present? Would you like to speak, sir?
And then, Chairman, it is a public meeting, so you would need to open the public hearing after this.
Right.
Thank you.
Would you state your name, please?
Austin Rabinoff.
And would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this authority is truthful?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I just wanted to, much as it may mean, lend credence to everything that she's been saying. You know, I've watched everything that's happened over the last, year or so, and I've seen her work her way through it valiantly. I mean, trying to run a business is never easy. There's a lot of people that depend on the business, employees as well as customers. It's kind of a staple of the community. I think, there'd be something of a human cost if it were to cease to exist. I know maybe that's not something that's taken into consideration, but as far as her partner and his moral status or lack thereof, I think that is kind of a non-issue at this point. I've connected her with a good friend, an attorney that I've worked with for many years, that I have absolute faith will be able to resolve the situation with him and before he receives any sort of material benefit from the business whatsoever. I was there the night that the incident occurred as well, and I think overall it was a good thing. I think it was not only good for her and the clientele and the employees, but for the city as, you know, a beneficiary in some aspects of the business, given, you know, tax revenue obviously behind, but there, you know, there are things she's doing that she's explained to you that I'm also aware of and can verify that that's absolutely true. You know, I've worked on those plans together. I've tried to help her as much as I can to come up with a good way to make all this right and to satisfy all the requirements that you've put forth, again, so that it can continue to be a good thing for the community. I think that's really all I had to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else present that would like to speak? Apparently not.
So I'm going to offer a motion, and then obviously we can have discussion. I move that the renewal application for Retro Wasteland LLC doing business as the Toad Tavern, 5302 South Federal Circle, Suite A, be approved subject to the following conditions. 1, licensee shall pay all outstanding taxes due to the City of Littleton by certified funds no later than September 25th, 2015, and shall file a return with the city for May 2015. 2, licensee shall remain current in filing returns and payment of taxes to the City of Littleton. And 3, that the licensee provides an acceptable explanation to the reason behind answering yes on question 3 of the application. The explanation must be acceptable to the city attorney, who may bring the issue before the authority if she sees fit. The foregoing is based on the finding of fact that notice of the hearing was posted on the licensed premises for a period of 10 days, and notice of the hearing was provided to the licensee at least 10 days prior to the hearing.
Can I ask that you amend the second point where she files her report for May? She also files her report for June and July timely?
Well, June is due in about,
June is, they're always due on the 20th of the month following, and Authority Member Levere, I think that's covered in the second section where we ask for them to file ongoing timely
Okay, ongoing time.
reports.
Great.
Yeah, just for clarification, item 2 of the motion was licensee shall remain current in filing returns and payment of taxes to the City of Littleton. So that would cover it going forward.
Thank you. I will second.
discussion?
Yes, I'd like to know if we can add in there about finding out what has happened in court. And I noticed this is a mandatory treatment referral slip right here. Can we find out, did he go and get treatment?
So I added the third portion of my motion, said that the licensee needs to provide an acceptable explanation to the reason behind answering yes on question 3 to the city attorney. So in my mind, those kinds of things would go into whatever explanation the licensee presents to the city attorney. And as we discussed, if, I would rely on her judgment if she has any questions or concerns about it, that she would bring it back to the authority.
Understood? Is that okay?
Acceptable.
I
yeah.
understand what you're looking for.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. Would the city clerk please poll the authority?
Authority Chair Bradish.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cole.
Yes.
Authority Member Levere.
Yes.
Authority Member Mather.
Yes.
Authority Member Buchanan.
Yes.
Motion is carried. Your license is approved. I just want to tell you something. I've never wanted anybody to succeed more than I want you to succeed after what you've been through. And the fact that you're going to hang in there, I admire that a lot. And I've never been in your establishment. I'm sure it's very nice, but I sincerely wish you the best. You have a lot at risk, but you seem to be a person of enough character to make it. Congratulations. You got a lot of work to do.
Can I ask one question? When I need to provide the information to the city attorney, how do I do that?
You have a preference?
You can submit it to the deputy city clerk, who's the licensing authority coordinator, which is the person you submit the renewal application to.
Is that information on the website, or where would I get that address and all that information?
I'll give you the information before you leave.
Thank you.
And I just want to add, she is a valuable resource, so stay in contact with her, ask her questions. She knows so much, and the more you can keep that communication lines open, the more we can help you be successful, so, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the.
Thank you all very much.
Good luck.
Gentlemen and lady.
Yep.
Next item of business would be any reports. Does the staff have anything? I think you've got something to tell us about next month's meeting.
I'm sorry, I was focusing on getting information to Ms. Dillon. What was the question?
Meeting next week.
Oh, our study
We
session.
talked about the
Our study session.
August meeting being a study session,
Yes,
and that's still the plan?
absolutely.
So we don't have any other agenda items?
No.
Okay.
And that night is night out?
That night is actually part of Western Welcome Week, so we will not be in the council chamber because they will be doing part of their silent auction that night. We are looking to reserve space up in one of the police training rooms because we have to have enough space in case the public comes. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the things we're going to be discussing, Kristen and I have been working with Corey on updating the licensing portion of the municipal code. And so that's one of the things that we're going to be discussing.
Okay.
And then if there's anything else that you guys think we need to address, just let me know ahead of time so we can put an agenda
So
together.
it'll basically be just those of us that are present tonight and hopefully,
The authority, myself, Kristen, and Corey.
okay.
And is there, for August, still tentatively scheduled a city council study session with the liquor authority?
I would need to research that and let you know.
Okay.
Anything else from the staff? Anything from the authority?
I actually will be traveling for work the week of the next meeting, so I won't be able to attend the study session. I'm sorry. I wish I could be here.
If you would just, if there are any questions that you have, or anything in our code as it relates to licensing, if you would submit questions to me ahead of time or concerns, then we can address them.
I will
Thank
do
you.
so.
Thank you.
Will everyone else be here? Okay. All right, hopefully we won't cut into
I
the.
don't know what's going on for.
I'm so
what's
sorry,
going
like, if
on
you want to
for
go to Western Welcome Week, we
that
could
night?
pick a different night.
Not the pancake breakfast, I'm good.
It's not the.
I heard shopping.
We could do it earlier if you wanted to start earlier.
Would you want to start earlier that night for the study session, or do you want to keep it at 7?
I'd like to start it earlier.
No, that would work for me.
I can go as early as 5:30, but I don't know.
That's a little harder for Andrew, I think.
No, that's,
Yeah.
I'll make it work. Whatever the preference is.
5:30, 6?
I think we could say we'll only go an hour and a half too. So if we went 5:30 to 7, or we could do 6 to 7:30.
Preferences? Michael, you don't get a vote, you won't be here.
I was thinking, I mean,
2 o'clock
I'd be
in the
happy to
morning.
call in if that would be of help. But
I'm good with 6 to 7:30.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good for me.
Okay, 6 to
Andrew?
7:30.
That works, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Don't want you to get fired. I think, obviously, the chairman has no reports, so that being the case, I declare this meeting adjourned.